This year, we ran our second hackathon, and we ran it in partnership with Climate Collective, Hyphen, and the HBAR Foundation. So thank you once again for partnering with us for this hackathon. This hackathon, we wanted to focus, as Alan and other people have mentioned, on this common theme of bringing together those who are working both in Web3 and sustainability. We wanted those who are sustainability gurus, interested in sustainability, or dipping their toe in the sustainability bucket to partner with those in the Web3 sort of ecosystem who are building out sort of these tools and other projects that we're focusing on. So during the ideation phase, we did different matchmaking sessions, downloaded the participants about some of the tools that we're building at Filecoin Green, such as CO2 storage, HBAR Foundation with Guardian, and Climate Collective working with Hyphen, and then also coming together to understand what their strengths were, what their weaknesses are, and what they could potentially work with. And then after that ideation phase and them getting to know each other, they went into the prototype phase, working on some of the different projects that you will see shortly. And HBAR Foundation and Climate Collective also hosted some of their workshops to talk about their tooling. We had a total of 432 participants throughout this hackathon. So this was about a 100% increase from our hackathon at SBS Paris. We hosted it on DevPost, and you will get to see some of the bounties. So I will introduce Wes from HBAR Foundation to talk about the HBAR Foundation bounties.
Thanks, Oren. And we were really excited with the hackathon and the participants, they were able to answer some of the, challenges that we see in the space with super creative ideas, really well thought out projects. And so first, I just want to say thank you to all the project participants who took the time to learn about the open source infrastructure that's out there and how it can be applied to different climate solutions. The HBAR Foundation bounty was focused on digitizing and open sourcing methodologies using our technology called the Guardian. And the idea was we wanted to be able to tokenize an ecological asset and understand the different roles, the actors, the data they produce tied to that digitized and open source methodology. One of our key goals as a foundation is taking those methodologies out to the open market, and not just the financial market, but the academic community to better understand, are these methodologies as they're written, in paper format, digitizable? And are they really leading to the ecological outcomes that we want to achieve? And so as part of this hackathon, we wanted to take some of those real world examples and bring them into the digital world from their analog counterparts and make sure that not just the rules are out there, but the data is stored in an immutable way using both the Hedera network and Filecoin's IPFS technology, both CO2.storage and Web3.storage, and make sure that that is totally immutable for each project. All the data and information is discoverable. And ultimately, when we create these assets, they can be liquid with the context of all the information tied to them. And as part of that, we want to have this auditable process that anyone can understand the rule sets that we account for our natural assets with. And so we've looked through a ton of the different methodologies and some of the participants, and we've come up with a few key winners, and we're excited to talk about them. I don't know if we want to do that now or in a little bit. Do demos. Okay, first. So we'll get into the demos, and then I'll learn about some of our participants. And I'll pass it back to Oren.
So we are going to showcase one of the participants who used and hacked on the HBAR Foundation bounty.
According to Gold Standard, a leading standard body in carbon markets, 3 billion people lack access to clean cooking, leading to around 4 million premature deaths annually. Improved cookstove projects financed through carbon credits can provide clean cooking access, reduce emissions, and promote sustainable development. By supporting these projects, we can make a meaningful difference in the lives of millions while combating climate change. For this hackathon, I've developed an open source carbon policy based on Gold Standard's metered and measured methodology for cookstove projects. I chose Gold Standard's latest methodology because it accurately monitors fuel usage with a connected measuring device to a cookstove, offering a more precise approach than traditional methodologies based on generalized assumptions. Here is a quick walkthrough of the policy. We have three personas or roles in the policy. Project proponent, one who executes the project on ground and receives the credits. VVB, an external third party who is responsible for independently verifying and auditing project documents and monitoring reports submitted by proponent. Gold standard, the standard registry overseeing this entire process and responsible for issuing the credits. A project proponent can submit registry account application to initiate a project. And once approved by registry, they submit project inception documents. It comprises of local stakeholder consultation, project eligibility, additionality criteria, and the methodology selected. Gold standard can approve or request changes to this project inception document. Once approved, the project is listed on standard website. After that, project proponent has to write a project design document containing critical details like emission calculations and additionality criteria. This is submitted to a VVB for review, and once approved, proponent can execute the project on ground and keep sending regular monitoring reports for the project. A VVB will review the monitoring reports, and once approved, proponent can request the credits from registry for that particular monitoring period. At the end, one can view the trust chain of each step in this process. Since all of it is happening on a public ledger, Hedera, everything is immutable and transparent. A detailed walkthrough of this policy on Guardian platform is available on this link, and here is the GitHub link as well. I'd like to add a final note. Climate change is real, and carbon markets are leading the way to reverse it. Blockchain can help scale them by bringing in the much-needed transparency and trust. Thanks to the Protocol Labs, HBR Foundation, and other sponsors for hosting the Sustainability Summit and Hackathon. And also cheers to the Guardian Project's open source maintainers as well. Thank you.
And so now I will introduce Nirvan from Climate Collective to talk about their bounties.
Thank you, Ori. Some very interesting projects that, some of I'll be focusing on the Climate Collective bounties, but just want to underscore that we got quite a wide range of very interesting projects, including cool Guardian policies and a lot of very innovative responses to our prompts. So here, this is, I would say, the more technical phrasing of the prompt. We had some fairly verbose, real-world context behind each of these. So just walking through the prompts briefly. Number one is, in a way, motivated by mainstream media bashing forestry credits, specifically Guardian and other such articles. Thinking of, is there a way that using weather stations that have been around for a number of years, maybe some of the DMRV tools that I was talking about in the morning don't necessarily exist for the last 5 years, but using existing weather stations that are stationed near carbon offset projects, is there a way that we can use the time series data to verify that, hey, this project has had efficacy in removing and reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmospheric concentration of these greenhouse gases? It is quite a difficult task, especially these weather stations can be very, very sensitive and be, of course, there's wind patterns and a lot of other things to take into consideration. But it's really thinking about the feedback loop of, we have this carbon offset project, is it having the intended effect, at least to the degree that we can measure in the proximate atmosphere? And that was supposed to be based around Hyphen, who I believe is part of the hackathon and part of the sponsorship team of the conference more broadly. The eventual solution didn't necessarily use Hyphen, but we do think there's a way to overlay that in the not very distant future. So prompt 2 was thinking about, reporting of emissions, or either over or under reporting, being able to create a system that can cross-reference data from companies, their accounting versus the sustainability claims. And you'd be surprised that some are over-reporting. I mean, most people are concerned about under-reporting, but there is a fair chunk of over-reporting that is indeed happening. And prompt 3, which was my personal favorite that I briefly talked about this morning, I just love this phrase, geospatially aware financial instruments, or money that knows where it is, in the sense that you're able to have a token that represents a specific plot of land or a polygon, represented on Astral Protocol, where that kind of tracks the environmental and ecological state of that area over time, and being able to also implement what the folks call geographical demurrage, so trying to encourage a currency or a token to be used within a localized setting, in the sense that this dollar might be worth, or this token might be worth more closer to the epicenter of a project rather than if I'm sitting in New York and doing something else. So again, here we got some fairly interesting maybe not using the tooling that was necessarily suggested, but very much tokens that are tied to a specific geospatial area, and that can only be accessed within that vicinity. For example, like being able to geofence funds that are dispersed to participants in a carbon offset project. So these are the 3 high-level prompts that we worked with. And just to note there that Climate Collective, we aren't an L1. We don't have a product of our own. So part of it was trying to build composable hackathon projects on top of the existing members and friends of Climate Collective. Excited for folks to see the winners here. With that, I'll hand it back.
So now we will watch a couple of videos that use either Climate Collective or Hyphen bounties.
The world's forests are disappearing at an alarming rate. Deforestation is responsible for up to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions and threatens the biodiversity and livelihoods of millions of people. But what if we could monitor and protect our forests more effectively? That's where BioRbit comes in. BioRbit is a decentralized platform that uses satellite data and blockchain technology to provide affordable and accessible forest monitoring solutions for any forested area in the world. With BioRbit, forest managers can track changes in forest cover, detect illegal logging activities, and even predict future deforestation risks. BioRbit is user-friendly and intuitive, allowing forest rangers and other stakeholders to access and share data from anywhere in the world. That's why we participate in the Protocol Lab Sustainable Blockchain Hackathon. We believe that technology can help us address some of the biggest environmental challenges we face today. Join us in our mission to protect and restore our forests with BioRbit.
Hey everyone, this is Jimbo with Sylvie, and I'm here today to talk about OpenTrees. So OpenTrees was created not just to support structured tree data, but really out of the need for 3 projects to collaborate: Ecolabs, FarmOS, and Sylvie. And so let's look at OpenTrees through the lens of a case study. Let's say stewards use Sylvie to register new planted trees using Sylvie's MRV process, but now want to originate practice-based agroforestry credits, which, by the way, Ecolabs is developing a methodology that is being published via FarmOS. How can these protocols interrupt data behind these trees? So that's where CO2.storage comes into play. So we've basically used Sylvie's tree model to define an OpenTree asset schema using CO2.storage template. And we are now able to run the Sylvie's tree forward claim model on that. But this is just an example. Really, we can run any claim model, such as Ecolabs' agroforestry methodology. And so the CO2.storage really serves as a point of interoperability for FarmOS to import Sylvie's data, but also for Ecolabs' methodology to utilize that data. Here's a quick demo of some of the MRV process on Sylvie's side, in which case trees are being planted or saplings are being registered as well. That data is then stored via IPFS and pinned to CO2.storage assets. And then FarmOS can also import that data via CIDs to the pin data. Here's a quick demo of what some of that data might look like on FarmOS side between the dashboard as well as the workflows around agriculture. That data is ingestible by FarmOS. So our intentions are to build upon this foundation and introduce additional methodologies, such as ones being built on Guardian. And Ecolab specifically is looking to explore work in adaptive agroforestry credits, and Sylvie is looking to work on the distribution of claim settlements and claim resolution. Thank you.
Can't find the clicker. And finally, I'm here to talk about the Filecoin Green base and bonus statement. For us, we wanted people to either hack on Filecoin or CO2.storage for their environmental projects. We wanted to keep it as open as possible because we wanted our participants to be as creative as possible. But we also had other bonus statements that we wanted the participants to focus on and also work with other projects within the PL network. So for the first one, the interoperability in ecological assets, they had the option to upload any sort of Vera gold standard eco-registry product data onto CO2 storage via Bacalhau and perform transformations. And then there's also public verifiability and sustainability, tracking deforestation, and open data for sustainability. So you will see some of the final projects that we wanted to highlight as well, but this is definitely not indicative of all the projects that were submitted for our hackathon.
Hi, my name is Alice. This is a short video on LibPowerM, my project for the Sustainable Blockchain Summit Boston Hackathon. LibPowerM is an embeddable library, CLI app, and daemon for real-time decentralized measuring and reporting on CPU and GPU hardware electricity consumption and CO2 emissions by blockchain nodes without requiring specialized hardware power meters. LibPowerM provides software-based continuous monitoring of different hardware power consumption interfaces and automatic reporting of the measurement data, estimated emissions to the CO2 storage data network. This is just a brief demo of LibPowerM showing the CLI daemon running and reporting emissions data and power consumption to CO2 storage. So the motivation for developing this was currently energy consumption and emissions reporting that is collected by Filecoin has to be done by a human. A human has to log into the Filecoin portal and upload the relevant data. It requires blockchain operators to have to integrate new hardware, things like hardware power meters, and processes, the process for collecting the data into their operations. Of course, this will slow adoption and onboarding of Filecoin. Now, this collection process will always be historical data. It's always going to lag behind the real-time operations of the blockchain nodes. And this means that if we want to estimate the total blockchain energy consumption, this will always only be based on the model estimates. It's not that currently it's going to be based on real actual measurement data coming from the blockchain nodes. Okay, so first, Filecoin is just the initiative to measure the environmental impacts of Filecoin and try to drive these to zero by having this infrastructure and building these verifiable claims. So the objectives of the PowerM are to use modern GPU and CPU power mining interfaces, things like RAPL, ACPI, and VML, to retrieve the energy consumption data for blockchain nodes. And we retrieve the what time data gives us the ability to estimate CO2 emissions for node hardware energy usage, and publish this data to CO2 storage together with identified information like mine ID, geographical location, and the hardware and software inventory. And this allows us to have measurement data on how much energy and the emissions these blockchain nodes are using, and to be able to price data as a supplement to what Filecoin has as the model estimates currently. Okay, so for more information, you can check out the GitHub project, or you can get me on Twitter. So, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Olufemi Victor from Team Chef Trucks, and I'll walk you through what we do at Chef Trucks in this quick demo and what we've been able to leverage with the technologies. So at Chef Trucks, we develop clean energy technologies and digital solutions to actually ensure net zero emissions. And we've been able to achieve all this through state-of-the-art technologies like AI, blockchain, and IoT, as well as go further to actually provide a carbon credits platform to offset emissions. So at Chef Trucks, you can always visit our GitHub repo, which of course is open source and available. We've been able to build an IoT device that measures emissions in the atmosphere. So we track several emissions such as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, as well as even methane in the atmosphere. Then we also track environmental data such as the pressure, the temperature, and the humidity in the atmosphere. We've been able to log all this data leveraging CO2 storage. At CO2 storage, we've created a custom template that suits our needs. So we have streaming data coming down here, and you can see our templates as well, which of course collects several data funneled down directly from our IoT device. And of course, our data has been signed and has been stored directly on CO2.storage. To be able to make this possible, we had to build a special service called the CO2 Storage Handler that manages communication from our IoT device directly to CO2.storage. Aside all this, we've also been able to leverage big data exchange.io to make our data available and published such that it is always available to be used by researchers and any party that wants to make use of our data. Now, streaming data is always massive as data is being recorded per time, which in most times is always per second. Now, this data gained a lot of massive traction, are funneled down and stored in the big data exchange platform, and leveraging, of course, CO2 storage. Coming back to our platform, we've been able to funnel the data as well down to our platform such that you can view emissions in the usage charts. Now, these charts provide data which are stored on CO2.storage, and we're able to view them in a graphical manner, as well as the direct location of where the IoT device is. Aside all that, we also intend to leverage the Idera token service, the HTS, to be able to manage the transactions that we do on our platform, as well as manage carbon offsets and even a contract that manages the carbon credits transactions. Of course, all this has been possible thanks to tools made available to us, CO2.storage, Idera, Filecoin, as well as Big Data Exchange. Thank you once again for this demo. Please feel free to check out our platform, try to offset carbon, try to buy carbon, and read more about what we do. Thank you, and goodbye.
Here is an overview of our hackathon submission, Walking Through the Forest. My name is Paul Widener, and I worked with Will Gardner on this project. Together, we have a background building open source tools for farmers and land stewards. We also run the Cambium validator on Regen Network. Our inspiration for the hackathon came from the Climate Summit at ETH Denver. We'd like to continue learning about decentralized and distributed systems in the context of ecological assets. An overview of our project. We have a simple front-end which allows users to select Vera projects that have already been uploaded to CO2.storage. Once a project is selected, a job is sent to our backend to start processing Sentinel-2 satellite imagery and compute an NDVI summary over the entire year. These results are then stored on IPFS and can be displayed in our front end. So a couple screenshots. On the left, we can query projects from CO2.storage. Once a project is selected, we can see its project area on a map. And ultimately, once it's been processed, we get a link to the results. The results can then be inspected on IPFS. And this is what we get with Bacalhau. So we can see logs that were emitted during processing. And of course, we can download the NDVI GeoTIFF and render it in other frameworks. We're doing an NDVI summary here. So we're aggregating the NDVI vegetative index across an entire year. This accounts for variations in growth patterns of plants that would otherwise be hidden when only considering NDVI for very specific dates. The year summary should also allow for better comparison of plant activity across multiple years. Next steps, we'd like to continue working on our UI, and we'd also like to create some CO2 storage schemas to actually upload these results back onto CO2.storage.
Hi, we're Davey and Marcy.
And we're going to present carbon credits today. And carbon credits is an incentive layer for everyone. We want to reward citizens of our planet Earth for green traveling. For example, a dad who bikes to work, or the mother who walks the kids to school, and of course the kids who go outside to play. We reward our environmental heroes with cargo credits. So what is the incentive behind? The incentive should be offered by institutions which emit more carbon than they would like to. For example, airlines or blockchains. For years, Google has been tracking our movement pattern. They know exactly when we walk, bike, when we drive a car, or when we fly a plane. We can access that data via the Google Maps API. So how does cargo credits work? It's a fungible token contract which is deployed on the Filecoin network. All tokens are managed by a paymaster contract. Finally, cargo credits can be redeemed via our web app which we open sourced. The cargo credit web app first connects to your Filecoin wallet and then to your Google account. A pretty dashboard displays your monthly movement patterns and offers the option to redeem cargo credits for activities such as walking and biking. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for your attention and I hope you earn a lot of cargo credits.
Hi, my name is Bob Hamill, and this is a demonstration of Forest Watch, my entry into the hackathon. Forest Watch is a web app that allows users to explore and validate carbon offset projects around the world using satellite imagery. The app includes a menu of carbon projects and a map showing their boundaries. When you want to explore a project, you can simply click on its details and the map will zoom into it. Here you can read details like the project's description, location, and size, and get a link to its registry page. This project in the Amazon says it aims to halt deforestation and its associated greenhouse gas emissions in the area. We can check to see if these goals are being met using satellite imagery. We zoom into the project's boundary and see there's a lot of farming and deforestation happening. The controls along the bottom of the map allow us to overlay imagery from previous years to see how this has changed through time. The app is meant to be intuitive to use. No downloading of imagery is needed. We're just doing a visual check to see any differences we can find. And indeed, we can see that some deforestation has been occurring through the years within these boundaries. There's also controls to view false color or NDVI imagery, which highlight vegetation and make it easier for users to see tree coverage. You can explore more projects by simply clicking on them in the menu. Or if you're interested in a specific part of the world, you can zoom there on the map and click any project boundaries to highlight those project details. This hackathon was a nice challenge to participate in. I have a professional background in remote sensing and satellite imagery and a personal interest in Web3 development, so it was a nice blend of the two. Thank you.
And so I will now announce the winners. So Climate HBAR Foundation will come up first.
So we're very excited about our first and second place prize winners for this hackathon. Each of the winners took a methodology that previously did not exist for the best guardian policy, and they brought it to the public ledger for anyone to use in an open source way. And so those winners are EcoStove and Velda. And I'll start with Velda. Velda took a Vera-based methodology, VM0038, for electric vehicle charging stations, and they augmented it for their own use because they saw a need to provide charging and battery systems within their local communities. They saw that there's an economic opportunity to bring more renewable power to these local ecosystems, and they saw that power as a more sustainable, both in a financial perspective as well as an ecological perspective, using a methodology that's fully open source and transparent. So not just their community that they cared about could use this methodology, but they could better enable other communities to copy this model and grow renewable power in Nigeria. And so we're very excited place to Velda. Oops. The first place winner is EcoStove. EcoStove, which you saw the video for, is an extremely impressive project that didn't just take a methodology and open source and digitize it, but they took an existing gold standard cookstove methodology for cookstoves to take direct IoT sensor information into a methodology and make it available following a robust set of rules that is a modern set of rules to improve cook stove measurement, which oftentimes is based on samples rather than direct monitoring. And they took the time to diagram out every single step, not just from a digital perspective, but actually diagram it out so it's easy to understand for every single user. And we're so excited about both of these methodologies, which are now open source and available on Hedera, and ready for use by anyone who wants to further improve them or augment them for their own use. So I just want to say thank you to the participants for all the different submissions on Hedera, and congrats to the winners. Thank you or in the Filecoin Green team for launching this hackathon and giving our participants the opportunity to compete.
Thank you, Wes. And you can always find these slides at tinyurl.com/SBS Final Ceremony. And if you want to see any of the other projects, you can go to sbsboston.devpost.com and look at the project gallery. And now I will hand it over to Nirvan to announce the Climate Collective winners.
It's the moment that, well, these projects I've been waiting for, but I'm not sure if they're actually watching or listening in right now. Either way, very excited to announce the 3 winners from the 3 different prompts. So I'll start at the bottom with the third prompt. This was the... Hey. Oh, is that you? Oh, fantastic. Hey. So Open Trees, which you saw the video for earlier. If I had a nickel for every time I heard the word NFT in the last 2 years, I would be very rich right now. But this is a very unique implementation of an NFT that represents a tree that is very much tied to the geospatial coordinates there and is doing kind of ongoing tracking of that asset. We are hoping to see at a later stage incorporate Astral Protocol to be able to kind of geofence the ability to steward a tree, or rather, if I'm sitting in New York, measure a tree that's in Boston. So implementing some sort of geospatial logic like that to bound certain entries. But for the most part, we're very happy with, and as we said, the collaboration between the 3 companies, which was fantastic. For the second prompt about the reconciliation, the under and the over reporting, Cyrus, who is quite known by a lot of people in this space, has developed a very cool application that he calls CAP, or Climate Attestation Protocol. As the name suggests, it enables you to both submit claims as well as attestations that allow other people to verify those claims. All of this, of course, is on backed by CO2.storage. I found it interesting that Cyrus kind of highlighted one of the main things that was over-reported, which is kind of not what I was expecting going into this. But that is the winner of the second prompt about cross-referencing and reconciling data between emissions and sustainability claims. And the winner of our main prize, which was about the feedback loop and measuring the efficacy of carbon offsets, is the carbon data visualizer from the team from Shamba Network. Again, as the name suggests, well, visualizer is part of it. Visualizer only can visualize data that is already there. So I think the data collection system that they've devised is very interesting, again, using a lot of time series data to measure changes over a period of time. And the core, I would say the geospatial logic and the way they've integrated CO2.storage leaves the door open to incorporating weather stations and atmospheric data, which is what we were hoping to see, but is not quite there yet. Either way, the data is there on CO2.storage through Hyphen, so within the time of the hackathon, we weren't able to get that done, but it's very much poised to go in that direction. We got a lot of other very promising projects. I think we saw the BioOrbit video earlier, which was an honorable mention for the first prize. Several other projects that I hope to follow up with and just continue helping them on their journey to in some capacity. But these 3 were standout projects, and congrats to all of the teams and teams of teams who have been working on these. We really appreciate all the time and effort you've put into this. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm here to announce the Filecoin Green base and bonus statements. Spoiler alert, you watched all the videos of the winners of those. And so our first place winner goes to Open Trees. So this was also awarded by Climate Collective, but they were able to incorporate almost all of the tools by Hedera, Climate Collective, and Filecoin Green. And then Cheptrox that you saw, cargo credits, they not only used the Filecoin Green tooling, but they also used FVM. And then we also had BioOrbit, who won interoperability, ecological assets, Forest Watch, Walking Through the Forest, and libpwrm. And beyond just some of the incredible work that they have done, some of these projects have also applied for microgrants, grants, or worked with other projects that we work with in sort of the Filecoin Green space. So as we've spoken about today, that these are projects that are very interoperable, that we're able to work not only with them at Filecoin Green, but the other projects, other people that we're working on. And so we are really building this space together. So we are very excited by these winners, what they're working on, and what we hope to continue to see them working on these next couple weeks, months, and years as we all build together. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to all the hackathon participants and Climate Collective and HBAR Foundation again.